Greetings again from the boogie down South Bronx. This is Jeffrey Cortez, author of Memoirs of Pastor Rajatabla, Private Eye, Pentecostal Private Eye. And you can purchase a copy of my Quirky novel on Amazon. It's available there in paperback as well as Kindle version. Also available in paperback, but as a pickup at Barnes & Nobles. So you could order online at the Barnes & Nobles if you want to order it as a pickup, and you choose the nearest Barnes & Nobles to your location for the pickup. All right? I'll be reading chapter 11, and at this particular recording, a description of the intention of the book or the novel you could find in the description post below. A brief summary of the reading format of the book is Raja is the pastor of a small Spanish Pentecostal church, storefront church in an urban area, and he has observations and clinical skills. And there's members of the community, neighborhood, members of churches of nearby congregations, as well as leaders in nearby congregations that approach him and ask his assistance to investigate items that concern them, whether they be based on gossip, hearsay, hysteria, or real events. He takes on the case, doesn't charge for it. He investigates, and then he solves the mystery, and he writes what he has found in his journal, which he has nicknamed Tabla. So that's the inside joke of Raja Tabla. Alrighty, so chapter 11 is She Lies. And the quotation in the beginning of the chapter is, sin will drag you deeper than the grave. That is, sin will drag you deeper than the grave. And it is a quote from the main character, Raja. All right, so let's start. Church deacon trustee Esteban took upon himself to be the keeper of the senda antigua, that's ancient path, or the old ways, the age-old ways. He prided himself to be a purist and keeper of authentic Christianity. He often debated with the pastor over the church needing a stricter code of disciplina, discipline, more than implying that Raja was ruining the ministry with a weak, permissive gospel. Under this dogmatic code, a church member being disciplined would not be allowed to participate in much cherished, spotlighted type of church activities. Such activities include singing solos, speaking to the congregation from the front of the sanctuary, leading special projects, etc. They were, however, graciously not banned from contributing financially to the church. Disciplina usually fell heavier on the female congregants than on the male congregants. In some churches, male offenses worthy of disciplina included wearing colored shirts, cologne, perfume, or jewelry. A long list of ladies' transgressions included hair trimming, eyebrow plugging, leg shaving, makeup, again perfume, wearing anything resembling pants, and pierced earrings or piercings. Esteban always took an opportunity in church trustee meetings to insinuate that Raja was too much of a candy coating preacher being soft on sin. One Sunday, Raja preached on the topic of what sin was and what it was not, while also coming to the point of the seriousness of the subject. He used one of his favorite illustrations of a cocky young man named Pito and his pet python, Pecado. The inside joke in there is that Pito means whistle, or it's a nickname, and Pecado, the python was named Pecado, which in Spanish is sin. So Pito lived in a rough neighborhood where pit bull fighting was a popular street sport. He purchased a small pet snake, which he nurtured lovingly. One day he came to a pit dog fight with a duffel bag. Pito unzipped the duffel bag, whistled, and a small snakehead started coming out, and the crowd laughed. Some in the crowd yelled, "Look out, he bought some dog food." The crowd's laughter slowly decreased as they saw the snake slither slowly out of the bag, increasingly revealing a massive body. As the python wrestled with its large pit bull competitor, it managed to strategically immobilize the dog's hind legs and then able to squeeze the life out of it. Pito and his pet python, Pecado, became very popular. One day, in trying to impress some young ladies, Pito whistled and had Pecado wrap him up completely. As the girls in the neighborhood cheered, applauded, and whistled in admiration, they heard screams and crunching sounds coming from within the massive snake. Animal control arrived and managed to get the reptile to uncoil. Pito, the owner, was found lifeless. The servant had become the master, and the master had tragically become the slave. And that is how it is with sin. It slowly kills you and will cunningly drag you deeper than the grave. At the end of the sermon, there was an outburst from the congregation, thus revealing sin in the camp. Dear Tabla. A year ago today, church deacon trustee Esteban was asleep during one of my sermons. One woman was tearfully moved by the message on sin and went up to the altar for prayer when I finished delivering my sermon. Since we were closing the service, I called out for Deacon Esteban to lead the congregation in a closing prayer. One of the members nudged Esteban. He awoke only to see the shapely woman up front of the church crying uncontrollably and the congregation staring at him. Esteban jumped up from the bench, yelling, "Ella miente! Ella miente! She lies! She lies!" Some of the congregation rationalized that he was protesting the woman's tight clothing. Most weren't so naive. Esteban didn't stay around to explain himself, nor submit himself to church leadership and pastoral leadership. It was reported through the grapevine that the deacon later on established a church with strict dogmatic dress codes, which he pastored for a short time. Apparently, there was a police unit called to his church to save Esteban from a young man that had him in a wicked chokehold. Reportedly, there was a young female member that was being physically seduced by the former deacon when the jealous boyfriend came into their church building. Esteban has moved on to start his own religious denomination. The young lady and young man currently are happily serving in our small church as ushers and security ministries. Bendición y bendición.